that have occurred in this tournament?
Yes, I have. They are definitely some interesting seeds.
All right, so Divergent starts here. So Space Cowboy goes to Lonk's house. Walther goes to Sanctuary, where he finds a compass. Liam, can you explain for our viewers how compasses and maps work in Keysanity?
So one of the things that are different in Keysanity is that you'll find all dungeon items outside of the dungeons potentially, and the maps allow you to see whether a dungeon is a pendant or a crystal. Now the compasses let you see how many items in the dungeon you have collected. This is very, very useful for a lot of our newer runners. For some of our more experienced runners, maybe not so much, and it looks like we have a shield from the uncle. And a compass to Skull Woods. Walter just now picking up his little bit of love from Link's house.
All right, I do apologize. Looks like I am having some internet hiccups over here. That's what happens when you're 5,000 miles away from home. But
it's all right. No, you didn't really miss too much, just a couple compasses, and now they're both farming for bombs here. These two bushes here have a 50-50 chance to drop one bomb.
It looks like Space Cowboy did find everyone's favorite Fisher-Price baby's first shield. Where is that one at?
That was on the uncle.
Ah, okay. And both of our runners look like they're going to just YOLO the race game. Seems to be a more common tactic in Keysanity.
Yeah, there's a higher probability of something like a small key or something useful potentially being there.
As if he knew. Burn the witch, ladies and gentlemen. Burn the witch. And it is a small key to Ganon's tower. Well, that's one that they will need. However, many times it is possible to find all the keys you need in Ganon's tower without having to pick one up in the overworld.
And we have a small key on the library. That's interesting, because that could be required. That couldn't be required. If it's the swamp small key, you can't get in without it.
That's right. We don't know, so that is certainly something our runners are going to be saving in the back of their minds for when they find Das Boot, if they find the boots. And we have a big key to Turtle Rock. Oh, that does not bode well.
So let's see if we find a couple rods and a cane, and then it'll be pendant confirmed.
Indeed. So Walther opted to go ahead and buy some more bombs. Can't fault him for that. And speaking of that, that's gotta be Kane! In Old Chicken Hut. So yeah, we got Turtle Rock Key, Kane of Samaria. Wow, are we going to have an early Turtle Rock in this game?
See a lot of early Turtle Rocks in Keysanity. It's looking likely now.
So rather than buy bombs, Space Cowboy has run into the bombable hut here for a guaranteed 4 bombs. We got a map to Skull Woods on Bottle Merchant. So interesting strategy here for Space Cowboy. Although he is, oh, there we have the blue cane. Although he didn't have enough money for bombs, but that is awfully time-consuming.
Yeah, you don't normally see players drop down into go into that room twice for bombs.
Yeah.
He might be setting up for Mini Moldorm Cave later, and it looks like we have a small key to Skull Woods, which is a fairly useless small key.
Yeah, most of the time you can find all the keys you need in Skull Woods. Because one thing that that Keysanity Randomizer does not do is if you have a key that is held by an enemy or that is underneath a pot in a dungeon, it does not shuffle those items around at all.
We have Compass to Misery Mire and the hook shot in Blind's Hut.
Triple booms, and Walther's at.
Did he go into that cave?
Did he? That's exactly my thought. Oh my! And I could just be suffering from a bit of dementia, but I don't recall him getting that small key to Ice Palace.
Well, it's not the
Ooh.
end of the world to skip that, but that does
No.
make routing the dungeon much easier.
Indeed. Alright, so we have yet to find a sword, but we do have the hookshot and a mild weapon in the Cane of Samaria. It's still the best item in the game. Fight me. Big key for Tower of Hera in the Lost Woods.
And the shovel.
Yo, I heard you like fetch quests, so we put a fetch quest in your fetch quest.
That's not the item you want to see when you're routing up from the village. You'd prefer to be routing down so you can just get it done.
Yeah, it looks like Walther's saying, nope, I will wait on the shovel. I'm going to go into the dungeon. So we know that he's going to go ahead and pick up the Fisher-Price shield. But going into the basement of Hyrule Castle is kind of a pain in the rear without a sword or the hammer.
Interesting bomb drop from the tree pool there after having spent so much time farming bombs.
Well, Walther. Oh, right, I'm sorry. You're talking about Space Cowboy. My bad.
Now, Walter should go ahead into Hyrule Castle here. He does have a weapon in the hookshot and the cane of Samaria.
Plus, he has full 10 bombs too. And there's only 4 or 5 enemies you have to kill. It looks like Space Cowboy is going to go ahead and find out what the buried item is. Meanwhile, as you correctly predicted, Liam, Walther is heading on into Hyrule Castle. So let's see. And the buried item is, drumroll please, piece of fart.
Just a little bit of love.
Little bit of love. Throw that block, Walther. There you go. Oh, we have a mirror.
Now that is a nice find. He could opt to mirror out and do the dark room, but we'll see once he's done.
The nice thing about an early mirror is that it allows you to have some much more efficient routing once you have Dark World access. Because there are plenty of items that you have to mirror from the Dark World to the Light World in order to get. And if you don't have an early mirror, it makes it very time-consuming to find those items later on.
Now, I find that always funny when you make the guard hurt himself with a cane of Samaria.
Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. Why are you hitting yourself? And a small key in the dam there. Small key to Ganon's tower. Well, our runners aren't going to be too terribly thrilled with that. And hashtag things in Zelda's chest. We're about to find out. This is not the way Walther wanted that to work out, but very nice Cane of Samaria usage there.
Just 5 rupees.
Big blue rupee. Alright, Space Cowboy heading on to Mini Moldorm. Nice that the hookshot kills the Mini Moldorms in one hit, but their random movement trolling Space Cowboy just a little bit there.
Oh wow, that's early silver arrows. Let's see how long it takes him to find the bow now. And a red goo.
We have a bottle, so that does open up Sick Kid, and it's never bad to find a safety. Alright, looks like Space Cowboy is going to head over to Mini Moldorm. or not, excuse me, Ice Rod. He just came from Mini Moldorm. And although he could fake Flipper, he does not have the Moon Pearl, so I don't know if he will or not.
Yeah, with so low on rupees and no Moon Pearl, I doubt we'll see it.
Yeah. So in version 27 of the randomizer, the devs added 2 chests to the Waterfall of Wishing, and if you have the Moon Pearl, you can actually get to the Waterfall of Wishing via the fake flippers trick. But man, Ice Rod Cave has the mitts. We are very close to Dark World access now. Excuse me, not the mitts, the gloves.
And that's a nice find. You see a lot of players, well, maybe not so much in Keysanity, but tend to avoid Ice Rod Cave until they can have a mobility item, but that is an important item.
Absolutely, and as you see now, he is heading straight for Escape Sewers, just kind of listening to where the seed is telling him to go.
3 items in the back of Escape. He'd be really happy if he found Mitts or Hammer for Dark World, but let's see. Just a small key to Desert Palace and the Quake Medallion.
Whack. Whack. Alright, yeah. Quake Medallion, Wavy Coin, whatever we want to call it.
The Bacon Coin.
Bacon Coin? Bacon Coin's good too. We also have the Harry Potter Coin and Swirly Coin, but we haven't found those yet. So we do not yet know if Quake is required. It may be, but it also may not be.
And Walter's about to pick up his Power Gloves.
It's so bad.
So bad.
Space Cowboy heading towards Sahasrala's Closet and Eastern Palace. We are slowly running out of Light World locations at this point.
Interestingly enough, we haven't found any castle tower keys, so Aga is not in play at all. But when you're running out of Light World options, it starts to creep into the back of your mind. And there's the lamp in Sahasrala's Closet.
So that at this point, now that we have the gloves and we have the hook shot and we have the lamp, Light World Death Mountain is now in play as far as the logic goes.
Yes, that opens up a lot of additional items.
Now both of our runners could have, as soon as they found the power gloves, both of our runners could have gone ahead and rescued the old man in the dark, although it would have been more difficult than normal because neither one of our runners has a sword, so they wouldn't have the sparkly tip for the spin slash.
Yeah, more than likely they would have had to use the hook shot, which is a more time-consuming way of doing that check.
So yeah, Eastern, you might as well do it while you're here. You did just find the lamp, and there is the Moon Pearl.
1 item away now from Dark World access.
Let's see if Walther as well heads on into Eastern Palace. I can't imagine he wouldn't. It is very quick to check. You have the possibility of 3 items, and you will be able to access at least 2 of them. All right, then, speaking of 2, there's 2. I forget. I'm sorry. Let me back up my commentary here. I'm so used to standard and open. The number of unique items per dungeon is irrelevant in Keysanity. There are 4 chests and the big chest that you can possibly access here in Eastern, and it's a quick check.
That is correct, and finding the lamp means that the vanilla big key chest is in logic as well.
So the logic will never force you to do dark rooms. However, if you can, sometimes a sequence break will help you, but other times it can lead you in the complete wrong direction.
Yes, we've seen times where a runner will pick up a flute after a sequence break and go around checking many different locations, and they ended up not needing it.
All right. So neither one of our runners has the big key to Eastern Palace, so let us see if there is anything in the vanilla big key chest here.
I am not sure if we noted, but Sahasrara did let them know that Eastern was the vanilla green pendant location, so they may or may not have to return here, but we'll see what they find.
Is this even randomized? God. With the low health there, all right, Space Cowboy finds some big love in the chest, but the only 4 hearts here, making it a little bit dangerous to do that damage boost. Oh, Space Cowboy turned around and realized, wait a minute, I never actually opened that chest before. So we are almost... Go ahead.
I was going to say he should be heading up to Death Mountain, but did he check the backup escape? I believe he did, since he has Quake.
Yeah. Oh, he's heading for the one item in the dark part of Hyrule Castle, but as you see, he does not have a key, and because he doesn't have that key, he's gonna have to mirror out there. Or save and quit.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the one instance where you actually want the Hyrule Castle small key.
Yeah. He's going to go in the front door, so he will find his mirror. So you've got to think Walther is going to head straight up to Death Mountain.
And indeed, that's where it looks like he is headed.
So not only do we have the item that the old man gives you from rescuing him, you also have 7 items in Paradox Cave, 1 item in Spiral Cave, all of which are accessible right now for Walther.
And Space Cowboy picks up his mirror.
It'd be interesting to see if they find 2 swords here in Ganon's Tower, or not Ganon's Tower, Death Mountain, and nothing else. And the keys to Castle Tower, we could have a nice little trolley agar required seed.
And we have a map from the old man to desert. Let's see if we get a map check soon from Walter or not.
Wow, when he was walking up that ladder, the cabbages were just perfect there to not kill him.
And he got dead rocked.
Sorry, at least he has the mountain cave save and quit point, so not too much time lost there. Is there a wonder why everyone hates the dead rocks? Hey, devs, can we take the dead rocks out of the game next version? Please? Anyone? Yeah, okay.
You'd make hundreds of runners happy.
Oh yeah.
So Walter heading now into Paradox Cave, where the entrances and exits really don't make any sense.
No. Hence the name. So interesting here. I don't believe did Walther get the dark room item here? I don't believe he did. So.
And we find the fairy in a bottle and the first sword.
Oh, Fisher Price sword. I smell an Aghanim coming on. I'm just saying. Just a big 20 in the dark room in Castle Basement. It's always the well. Let's see what we have here in Paradox first. So
Not
far,
much
nothing doing. Yeah. Ooh.
So remember how we were talking about that early Turtle Rock play? They're a mix
Yeah.
away. And potentially a different medallion as well.
Oh, Walther I thought he had that that bomb jump, but I think it was just a little bit too far north on the screen.
Chat accurately pointing out we are also still a hammer away from Turtle Rock as well.
Yes. So lots of things could be up here. Now, if we find the hammer, we'll have access to Tower of Hera. Flute on floating island. Oh my gosh, my mind is blown. Liam, when was the last time you saw anything worthwhile on the floating island?
I've seen it, but I've never seen the flute there. In Keysanity, I've seen a lot of necessary keys up there, but the flute would definitely be a first.
All right, so obviously that means, I believe that's correct. Yes, so the flute is locked by the mitts.
And there's the hammer at the end
Stop.
of the slow spiral cave.
Stop. Hammer time. Why? Is this quicker? Oh, you know what? Yeah, it is actually. So since he's got the mirror, this is actually quicker.
Yeah, he had no idea he was going to find a hammer to be able to hammer back to Hera, so he saved Spectacle Rock for later. That way he could just mirror.
Smart. Very smart. As we see on Space Cowboy's screen, though, just plus 10 bombs, not on top of Spectacle Rock, not really making anybody terribly happy. And blue mail. Now, interesting. Did Space Cowboy even check that? And we got flippers. Wow.
Yeah, I believe Space Cowboy did look at it, but he did not pick it up. And yeah, those flippers, that opens up more possibilities.
That's a gutsy move, ignoring the blue mail. But Space Cowboy, probably very confident in his abilities, as well he should be. But I find it odd that anybody would choose to ignore the blue mail. I can understand somebody ignoring the red mail, but blue?
Yes, the difference between green and blue is bigger than the difference between blue and red. It's always nice to get that first mail upgrade.
Now, Space Cowboy here is taking advantage of the fact that the pots respawn when you fall down to the lower level, but the enemies do not.
But it is interesting note that since he did not go Eastside Death Mountain first, he does not have a weapon to kill Trolldor with.
That is correct. What is he doing now? Oh, he's just moving the... Okay. He does have the big key. And to answer the question in the chat, no, you cannot do Trolldorm with Cain. The only two items you can harm Moldorm with are the sword and the hammer. And only the hammer because it's listed as the same damage as the tempered sword.
Oh wow, that's the GT big key in the Tower of Hera big chest.
Yeah, so that is an early GT big key. Many times we've seen in this tournament that the Ganon's Tower big key tends to be a relatively trolly item. Not so today. And now Space Cowboy looks like he's going to go ahead and get the blue mail. But now Walther does have the hammer. And so Walther can go ahead and kill Trolldorm. It would be very interesting if, say, Mitts were on Trolldorm.
Yeah, that would be a big advantage to Walter in getting those mitts if they were. Now, if nothing is on Trolldorm, they did find the flippers, and they also found power gloves earlier. But I'm looking at the rupee count, so Zora is in play, and the waterfall fairies 2 chests are in play.
Absolutely. Walther taking the 2-story fall there in Tower of Hera. Nobody likes to see that. The Space Cowboy looks like now he is finally headed over to Paradox Cave. He is going to be happy by what he finds when he eventually gets to Spiral Cave, that is. But going to be very disappointed in the fact that had he gone here first, he could have saved some time.
I would not be surprised to see him hammer peg back to Tower of Hera and just get it over with.
I wouldn't blame him.
Space.
Well, good.
I was just noting Space now picking up his fighter sword, and Walter just now picking up his GT big key.
So early on, we've got some significant progression. We know where the flute is, but as we've also noted before, the flute is locked behind the Titan's mitts. But we have Kana Samaria, we have Fire Rod, we've got Hookshot and Mirror and Flippers, so we have a significant amount of mobility. The only area of the game that is completely locked out to our runners right now is the Misery Mire area. There are certain locations that they can't get to, such as King's Tomb, but Dark World is available. Go ahead.
So where do you think Walter heads from here? Do you suppose he goes to Kakariko through the portal and maybe does Skull Woods? He has everything to clear it.
Absolutely, I think that is the route that he will take here. I may combine it with a check of Bumper Cave while he's there.
Walter picking up his first crystal from Trolldorn.
Oh, he does have Cane of Burna, so and also remember that he has Red Goo, so yeah. It's oh man, come on.
It's always a little nerve-wracking to see Lowheart's Spike Cave, but that Cane of Burna and that Red Goo, it's going to be close.
He's got it. And was it worthwhile? No, not really. So just a small key to Ice Palace, as you mentioned earlier, Liam. It helps you route the dungeon more efficiently, but it's not impossible to complete without keys. So
that looks like Walter may have chose the wrong spot there.
Happens to all of us. Now, Space Cowboys, as you said, yep, he's just going to hammer on to Tower of Hera, finish it up, and then he will get his first crystal as well. Gotta think Walther is headed over to the Dark World now. Although, it could be prudent to check the Zora area for information on what item is on Lake Hylia Island, as well as Zora Ledge, and Waterfall of Wishing. Go ahead.
And we can't forget the hobo as well.
That's right. And neither of our runner, as our tracker, Baliame, is pointing out in the chat, neither one of our runners checked Sick Kid either. By the way, shout outs to Baliame for running the tracker for us today. Running the tracker is always a taxing job, but running it in Keysanity has got to be even worse. So thanks so much for your assistance here, Baliame. You just can't really express in words how I mean, I don't think you could really stream these games without putting a tracker up on the chat.
We have Walter checking the chess game now. Just a
As
Bob
Space-
upgrade.
Yeah, as Space Cowboy gets trolled by the Troll Dorm himself.
It's always hard to hit Moldor with the hammer. It has such a wonky hitbox.
While they're checking out Bomb Hut here, and we got a Master Sword.
Ooh, and Space Cowboys takes another fall.
Troll Dorm is living up to his name this run.
Now Walter is checking Sitkid now with the mirror.
That's pretty efficient routing. And we got a red shield. Troll Dorm fall number 3 on Troll Dorm. Space Cowboys got to be getting frustrated here. Now, Walter has a choice. He could head into Stevestown or Skullwoods. He can complete both dungeons.
Since he's right next to it, it wouldn't be a bad play to just go in now. A lot of players treat those first 4 chests as basically overworld for Dark World.
And let me correct myself. He cannot complete Stevestown because he does not have the big key. Space Cowboy still having problems with Troll Dorm. You hate to see that kind of thing happen.
Got a pod small key from Thieves Town. I believe that's our first one. It's a little late to get our first pod key since there's so many of them.
Agreed. And finally, Space Cowboy does end the Troll Dorm.
Oh wow, that was a vanilla big key on Walter's side for Thieves Town. He now can complete this dungeon.
Wow, what a choice there! How fortuitous that he chooses to go into Stevestown and finds the big key to the dungeon in Thievestown. That is wow, that is unexpected. Very nice. Let's see where Space Cowboy goes. Space Cowboy also opts to head over to Spike Cave. So both of our runners seem to be in each other's heads as far as their routing decisions. It may be a difference in routing that ends up being the deciding factor in this match.
Yes, and Walter also picked up the first Castle Tower small key. That actually lets him check both chests from Aga Tower.
Indeed, and because all of the items are randomized, it is actually possible for something worthwhile to be in Aga Tower, which is not possible in a standard or open seed.
Correct. In an open or standard mode, it's always 2 small keys in that Castle Tower. But in Keysanity, it can be literally anything. And we get a map check and we see Crystal 6 at Skullwoods and Crystal 4 at Ice Palace.
So Space Cowboy heads direct to Hype Cave. Cannot argue with this decision at all. It also allows him to check Pyramid and possibly Catfish. Catfish being one of those locations we generally consider a low percent location, but if something important is at Catfish, you can get a pretty big advantage on your opponent.
And the other Castle Tower small key is the only real item of value in Hype Cave today.
Oh, I'm sorry, what? Oh, yeah, Snore Cave today. And interesting thing Space Cowboy's about to do here is check the bomb merchant, who's going to tell him which crystals are 5 and 6, and that is Misery Mire and Skullwoods. We already knew Skullwoods, but now we know Mire is key number 6.
Which makes that flute floating up there in the sky on that island a very required item.
Without a doubt, we know that the Titan's Mitts are always required. You cannot complete this game without Titan's Mitts. However, Flute will only be a required item if Misery Mire is a required dungeon. And since we just found out that it is, there we go, Flute required.
Now we're about to get a blind fight on Walter 4's side, and we see a small key on the pyramid. Oh wow, the Hera small key, essentially a fetch quest item.
Pretty much, yep. Because the basement was not required, as it's almost impossible to be in Keysanity. But yeah, so that is, like you said, that basically turns it into a fetch quest. Now, Walther, there he goes.
Making good use of that key.
Absolutely. Just drops the map to Hyrule Castle that nobody cares about, but Thieves' Town was a pendant.
So we now know where 2 of our pendants are. We're still looking for the 3rd one.
Alright, so Walther is going to go check Bumper Cave while Space Cowboy heads to the Dark World for the first time. Oh no, he's not checking Bumper Cave. He's just going straight to Skull Woods.
Walter just deciding to make a liar out of Phantom Ryu today.
Hey, that's what they do, man. Alright, that's his one key to Skull Woods. It's really the only one he needs. So, we've got a little bit of love.
We have a little bit of sync going on right now with both of our runners in Skullwoods in the same room. And there's the Titan's Mitts.
The golden gloves. And Space Cowboy just walked right past them.
Walter also finding the bug net. I've actually seen a couple of players route Space Cowboy's way, but only if they don't have that small key. But he does have that small key.
And nice routing there by Walther, because he walked in through a skull. He could just mirror back out rather than having to walk all that way like Space Cowboy. So very, very smart routing there by Walther.
Canis and Mario makes that Gibdo room much easier on Walter's side, and just finding a big heart container back there.
They're starting to get to the point now where health isn't as important. You know, if you've got a full top row of hearts, particularly at the skill level of the runners that we're seeing right now, they're really not going to be looking for more after that.
Of course, always nice to find additional heart containers before the Mothula fight, since he can cheat and just not take damage when he hits spikes.
Yeah. So, one key difference here, Walther has the Master Sword. Space Cowboy has the Fisher-Price Sword. Fighter Sword Mothula is not something I would wish on anyone.
No, I anticipate we may see some hammer strats once this magic runs out.
Oof.
Which is not easy either for Mothula.
No. Walther did some smart stuff there, using the lamp to light the torches to save magic, so he has extra fire rod shots to use on Mothula. The fire rod and the Master Sword both do the same damage to Mothula.
Walter right there, he was waiting on purpose, because that Wallmaster can grab you as you're falling down the hole.
And with the 30 frames per second feed on that I'm looking at right now, we may not always be able to accurately tell whether or not Mothula is taking damage. Oh, I remember Walther has both a fairy and red goo, so probably is going to be just fine in this fight. There we go. Very nicely done, Mothula.
We get triple bombs from Mothula and our third crystal, pardon me. No, second.
Yep.
Our trackers work so fast, I was already counting that crystal.
And importantly, that is one of the two crystals that will enable access to Thick Fairy in the Golden Pyramid. However, given that it could always be Ice Rod. I was thinking, given that we've already found mitts, we've already found flippers, most of the items we know are required, we've already found. But there's still plenty of hope that that one of the missing items will be either Fat Fairy or on everyone's favorite, the pedestal. Meanwhile, Space Cowboy is hammering Mothula now, showing how difficult this actually is.
Now, it's interesting that we're still looking for the bow. We know it cannot be on the pedestal. It could very well be in that Pyramid Fairy room, though.
And this is tense, watching Space Cowboy fight Mothula with the hammer here. Just mad props to him for even trying. Ah, Space Cowboy, you had a fairy. What do you think, Liam? If you've got the fairy and the red goo, I think I just go ahead and let Mothula kill me, so I use the fairy first and save the red goo for later.
At low hearts, I agree with you. The fairy would almost be as much worth at low hearts.
Oh, come on. Mothula, you're right. Mothula does cheat. I was not paying attention. I assume Walther just walked past... I'm assuming Walther just walked past Bumper Cave. I did not see what was on it.
It was
Bumper
a small key.
Okay. Hey, thank you for the bits, VZGTH. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that.
And there's the ice rod in the graveyard ledge cave. So well, we don't know what the medallion will be to open Turtle Rock, but they have all the items necessary to complete it.
Yeah, nice rod. Alright, so Walther got a decision to make now. Where does he go from here? Backtracking maybe because we do have the mitts, so he can hit up Alec Baldwin, Jeremiah, Peg Cave.
And backtracking my own comment, I forget Keysanity, you also need at least 3 small keys to get to Trinex.
Very true. Yeah, a lot of times all the rules that we remember from the previous versions are thrown out the window. That's why it's Keysanity.
Walter going for a digging game check.
Yeah, but you'll usually see runners go for digging game first, because if you have Jeremiah the Bullfrog with you or the purple chest, you will not be able to do Alec Baldwin's digging game. And as chat rightly points out, we still have Zora and all of that to check as well. Walther turned up his nose at the piece of fart there.
No time for a little bit of love.
Yeah. I don't know if I would do that at this point, but he's definitely a better player than me. Question from the chat. Ped is still alive, but would have to be a required medallion, right? Not necessarily. It could be, say, the Swamp Palace small key, if Swamp Palace is in fact a crystal, which it's highly likely that it is. Or it could be boots.
Space Cowboy checking T-Rock emblem, and it is Ether to get into Turtle Rock. And he will probably be going in the Hookshot Cave and getting his flute from the floating island.
Let's see what the Smiths have, but now a Space Cowboy gonna check Hookshot Cave, but most importantly, on the backside of Hookshot Cave will be Das Flute. We got another pod key in Hookshot Cave, though.
And we have counterfeiting dwarves on Walter's side.
What are they counterfeiting today? Currency?
Just a nice big 20 from the dwarf smiths.
Let's pay attention to the Space Cowboy screen. He was worried there for a second he wasn't going to go through and get the flute from the floating island.
A couple slashes from Space Cowboy. He may have almost forgotten. Was a little frustrated.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're going to have a check of Cave 45 over here. Single Arrow of Dreams.
Some say that one arrow is the arrow that pierces Ganon's heart.
But is it silver? Doesn't look silver.
It just turned silver, you know. Somehow all arrows turn silver magically in this game.
Well, there's the map of Turtle Rock, and Turtle Rock is a crystal, so we're going to need some keys. Space Cowboy heading into Hera Basement. This could be important.
Walter once again turning away from a little bit of love.
He's so hateful. There's no love in his heart. Alright, and Space Cowboy. Oh! Misses coffee break. I like this decision by Space Cowboy to check Hera Basement, but at the same time I recognize that its chances of being important are rather reduced.
Yeah, it was nice just to route in this check of the basement with acquiring the flute since he's already up here. And it was a really good decision, I think, to go grab the flute early, just for the easy mobility it brings.
Agreed. Alright, moment of truth. Small key to Turtle Rock.
Well, that's one.
Wow.
Walter now going to the Disappointment Cave.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. This so the previous version of Randomizer, Hype Cave almost never was hype. This version, it's been hype a little more often, but still not the Hype Cave that we all grew up knowing and loving.
Although that Castle Tower small key might still be required, I don't think either runner has checked that Lumberjack Cave yet.
Correct. Neither one of them has. So Space Cowboy's going to be heading back in. Space Cowboy has not yet completed Stevestown. Now, we know that there isn't anything required in Stevestown, but he doesn't know that. And Stevestown is almost always a good play, so... Oh yeah, he hasn't checked anything in the Village of Outcast yet.
The Lake Hylia item was just a compass, so Walter will be mirroring back and just ignoring that.
Remember, Walther has everything he needs to complete Ice Palace as well.
It appears he's going to go check Hobo next. And we have Space Cowboy activating his flute.
The goose is loose. So a hobo, like you mentioned, hobo check for the first time this game. Let us see. Ooh, key 2, pod. Very nice.
So that second pod key means he can check a couple more locations in pod if he dips in now, but it looks like he's just heading the other direction.
Yeah, he has not yet checked the pyramid ledge or catfish, so... Space Cowboy gets his red shield from the sick kid, but decides to move on and is not going into Thieves Town.
He just picks up his Master Sword now, and Walter getting his small key for the Hera basement.
Interesting to see if Walther ever routes back up there.
Now, he is now routing an Aga Tower check by climbing back up the pyramid.
That's a really smart way to do it. I don't know that I've ever seen a runner do that before, but then again, normally that's not something you do in standard and open mode. But this makes sense, and it's a smart move for right now. It's because it's like I'm there, why not?
Well, let's see if it pays out for him. He's going to kill these 2 guards and get this first chest. Small key, 2 pod.
I would say that's working out for him then. There are 6, if I'm not mistaken, there are 6 keys for Palace of Darkness, and there is a possibility to soft lock Palace of Darkness, and he does not continue.
Well, he may not think that Aga is required, especially since he doesn't have boots yet, and he won't be able to get the Lumberjack cave item without the boots.
True.
He's also going to be routing into Swamp Chest, the dark room in the sewers.
Very efficient routing here by Walther. Now we know that it's just a big 20 in that chest, but still very, very efficient routing. Chat's calling Bow and Lumberjack. You know, the funny thing is, since neither one of our runners have checked Lumberjack, that would be interesting. Bow on pedestal is not possible because Eastern Palace is the green pendant, and you must have the bow to complete it.
So where do you think Walter heads from here? Do you think he'll route in catfish or head straight to pod?
I think I'll probably head straight to pod. Catfish is a single item, and I don't know though. You can check catfish relatively quickly from here. This is the only way to really route in catfish where it makes any sense, and that looks like that's exactly where he's headed.
I think what's swinging his direction is I don't believe he's checked Zora or the Waterfall Ferry yet.
I believe you are correct, and that is another way to route catfish in, so that you can simply mirror from catfish to Zora. So
Space Cowboy just seeing the big 20 in the Hammerpeg cave, and now we're going to see what the Quakefish has for us today.
And bottom feeder has not what Walther wanted. Here is the Waterfall of Wishing.
We have a Riot Shield and a small key to Turtle Rock. Laser Bridge is probably going to be necessary.
The answer, ladies and gentlemen, is always Laser Bridge. It was on the last race I commentated. I think it was the last one. Might have been the one before that, where the Fire Rod was the 4th chest on Laser Bridge.
That's just mean.
Isn't it, though?
There was a small key on the Zora ledge, and we're seeing Space Cowboy right now get his vanilla-ish Thieves Town big key. So what do you think, Ryu? Life lesson, love lesson?
It's Zora, the king of life lessons. See? I told you so.
But we will get to see what this small key is. Hopefully something important.
And obviously the most critical small key is for Swamp Palace.
And Ganon's Tower.
Womp, womp, wow. So if you're curious as to why the item was 10 arrows and then changed to a small key, if you leave the item that Zora dropped, that is the item that's going to stay in memory. But when you pick the item up, it will actually be the correct item.
Yeah, it's just an interesting limitation of the SNES hardware.
All right, so Walther going to be checking Dark Death Mountain, and if Quake is required for, which no, it's not. I'm sorry, we've already established that Turtle Rock is Ether. My bad.
No, but he'll probably do the same route that Space Cowboy did: grab his flute, check the medallion, and then route in Hera Basement.
So we really need to confirm what our other pendant dungeon is, because we know. Oh, there's the mushroom. Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Fetch
Space
quest.
Space picked that mushroom up, but I'm not sure if he's actually turned that in yet.
I missed that earlier, but so Walther does not yet know that Ether is the required medallion for Turtle Rock, but he does now.
Probably a little disappointed to see that.
You would think, given the fact that you've received, both rods, Cane of Samaria, mitts, hammer, and one medallion, you would think the majority of the time that one medallion would be the Turtle Rock medallion. But alas, it's not to be.
And for once, the required medallion was not in Hookshot Cave either.
Very true. So Walther has 4 keys to pod right now. Will enable him to clear out most of the items in pod. We'll see if he decides to route that way. At this point, Ice Palace seems to be a pretty strong play, as we are certain that it is a crystal because the bomb merchant told us it was. So that to me seems like a decent play.
Now, Ice Palace was not one of the 5-6 crystals, but we did find a map for it, and it is full clearable. Another interesting thing to note is finding that 4th pod key. As you said earlier, there's 6 of them for pod. Now, if Walter finds the bow, he can full clear the dungeon with 4 if he knows how to hammer jump, and he goes in the bowlock side instead of the front door.
Hammer jump. And obviously, yeah, and as our tracker Baliame rightly points out, and the big key, of course, which we
always
have not yet
forget
found.
the keys.
As do I. I've played too much non-Keysanity randomizer. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the playing of the Herulian National Anthem. So the goose is loose for Walther, and Space Cowboy is picking up the lunchbox. We're reaching about the hour point of the match. We'd like to remind everybody, hey, if you enjoy what you're seeing here, why don't you give these runners a follow here on Twitch? They are putting in work for your entertainment, doing a fine job, if I do say so myself. And for all of your Link to the Past Randomizer tournament needs, be sure to follow Speed Gaming 1 through 4 here on Twitch. And, hey, if Link to the Past Randomizer isn't your thing, and if it isn't, why are you here? But if you need a break from the randomizer, remember, Speed Gaming is your source for all speed running here on Twitch. So it's not just Link to the Past Randomizer, but dozens and dozens of games from NES to current gen consoles. And we're going to see. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we're going to see an interesting thing here from Walter. If you use all your magic and you use the Cane of Samaria there, as soon as you hear that buzz sound for no magic, if you swap to the mushroom and use it, it'll act like you used the powder, and you'll be able to check Magic Bat, which only had a big 20.
So sad.
Space is now picking up his ice rod.
So, all right. So now we're going to turn that mushroom in. Walther thinking ahead there. So let's go ahead and do the fake powder while I can. And then I'll just go get rid of that mushroom, because after that, there is no purpose for me having it anymore.
And once again, Walter showing his displeasure for the little bit of love.
He's using his, taking some damage so he could use the red potions so that he could get a blue potion and fill up his magic. Nice job there. But yet still turns up his nose at the piece of heart. But we noticed on Space Cowboy's screen, Quake is the medallion for Misery Mire, and our runners have everything they need to complete that dungeon right now, minus the big key.
And it looks like both players are in the Mire area now. Walter going to go check checkerboard first, it appears. So we're going to have a little bit of sync here, guys.
Might even get a high five.
Oh, never mind. He's going to make a liar out of me and go to Agonist Cave instead.
Neither one of these options by our runners is a bad choice, so... Checkerboard Cave, nothing doing there. Meanwhile, in Agona's Cave, we have a cape.
So that brings that small key that's on the Bumper Cave ledge into play.
Absolutely.
Could very well be that Swamp Palace small key.
Or a fifth key to pod. So in this situation, Liam, do you have one key for Desert Palace? You have no keys to Misery Mire. Do you go into either one of those dungeons?
Since you're here, I say yes. At least Desert Palace is a fairly quick check, and you'll be able to see if boots are required for anything. Misery Mire is interesting, but I think I would still check it while I was here. It's a lot better proposition in Keysanity than it is in open mode, since in open mode it's only 2 items, but in Keysanity it's more items.
Space Cowboy checking the desert ledge here. It is a key to pod. Wow. Now that would be if Walther picks it up, that will be his 5th pod key. And as you said, if he can hammer Yump, and I don't know if he can or not, then he can.
Yeah, he'll be able to full clear pod, aside from King Helmet's Lore, unless we see another vanilla big key. We've seen one so far.
Little love over in desert. Meanwhile, Walter heading down into the mire of misery. And as you see on his screen, where it says 0 out of 8. That is the number of locations in this dungeon for him to check. The compass provides him with that information.
And we see the big key to Ice Palace on Space Cowboy's side of the stream. That's an interesting item too, because if you know how to do the Ice Palace bomb jump, you don't need it to get to Cold Stare. But there is one chest, the big chest that you can't open without it. And we also see a blue goo from Space Cowboy.
And Walther, without keys, cannot go the way he wanted to. He's got some other items to check here, however. And it is the pod compass that nobody really wants. Here, one of these items is guaranteed to be a key. There it is right there under the pot. As we mentioned before, those items are not shuffled. And just a little bit of love. You know, Space Cowboy is... Oh, I thought he was headed to pod. He is not. He is going to check the hobo.
It's an easy check to route in when you're heading in that direction. Especially if he has a pod small key.
Indeed. So Walther going to opt not to use that small key on the door to his immediate left. Is going to check the bridge chest here and find a Skullwood small key. I'm not sure if there's any small key more worthless than that, particularly at this point.
Running out of magic here. Just enough to light those last 2 torches.
As my father would say, I'd rather be lucky than good any day.
Just another Ganon's Tower small key, though. And Space is making the play into Ice Palace.
Can't say I blame him at all. Has all the items he needs to clear it. Minus, of course, the big key, but... No, wait, he does have the big key. Never mind. I'm blind. Ayame, thank you for the tracking, sir.
Yeah, he picked that up from Desert Palace, so he'll be able to check everything here. Walter about to check the cutscene chest, and it is the bow.
Oh my! That's just slightly significant at this point of the game. Just a bit. Just a bit.
Now, if he does know how to hammer jump, he can now truly full clear pod, because he'll be able to actually do the boss now. Oh, nope, no big key. Sorry, I always forget the big key.
But the bow, very, very significant. Particularly with the silver arrows, which means if he gets down to good old eyeballs Vitreous here, he will...
Whenever we find the big key for this place, anyway.
God bless. Yes, indeed. Keysanity, it's even making the commentators go crazy. Space Cowboy misses the double kill the first time on those Stalfoses. Stalfi? What's the plural of Stalfos? Anybody know?
And let's see, Space Cowboy is about to attempt the Ice Palace bomb jump. Now this is an interesting bomb jump. It's what's considered probably the most important bomb jump in this game to learn, as it allows you to route Ice Palace so much easier, so much quicker. And it appears Walther is making the play into pod.
He only has 4 keys, so let's see. See how this works here.
Oh, he doesn't have enough money for our favorite extortionist.
Oh my. That's never good. Don't
Yeah,
know
if
that
you
we
don't know, you
found...
need 110 rupees to be able to get into pod, because you have to pay off this small little monkey to open it for you.
So far, though, it doesn't look like we have anything significant in the old ice palace. Unless I've missed it.
No, I haven't seen anything myself yet in Ice Palace, and Walter's now going to go into this. If you lift up that rock, there's a cave in here. You can farm 50 rupees over and over again fairly quickly.
Yep.
And another useless small key for Space Cowboy.
Well, at least he's in a dungeon that he knows is required. Alright, now Walther, having farmed 120 rupees, will now return to the pod area.
And we got the big key to Skull Woods from Ice Palace. It's essentially a fetch quest item at this time, but it could be important.
Indeed. We know we are still looking for the Ether Medallion. We know that that is 100% required. Depending on the location of the Ether Medallion, we could need other items, such as the boots. Or the book. We know that powder is not a required item because Walther already fake powdered and discovered there was no... just a big 20 at Magic Bat.
So in an hour and 12 minutes, we're now going into pod for a Keysanity race. That's actually fairly late.
Indeed. Here's the tea room chest in Ice Palace. It has a big key for Misery Mire.
Ice
That
Palace is now paying off a lot better because we don't know if that Skull Woods big key will be necessary, but that Misery Mire one definitely is.
Absolutely. Now, Space Cowboy has no... No, I take it back. He has one safety. He has a blue goo. Or was that... Or, I'm sorry, was that Walther that got the blue... No, it was Walther that got the blue goo, so I don't know that Space Cowboy has any safeties.
We see Space Cowboy attempting to fill up his magic here.
Yeah, he will need it because...
Yeah, he'll need the full magic meter to be able to break the ice block.
Luckily, there are 2 small magic decanters in the next room that he'll be able to pick up. So he will have all the magic he needs, but he is going to be going into Cold Stare with 3.5 hearts. With the blue mail, Cold Stare will do... Does he still do 2? I think he still does 2 hearts of damage. Oh, man.
Our tracker pointing out that he does have the blue goo.
Oh, he does. Okay.
Thank you once again to our tracker Baliame, always keeping us informed.
Alright, Space Cowboy using that blue goo. And now bring out the fire rod, which completely wrecks Cold Stare.
Oh wow, the boots for Walther and Pod.
Das Boot.
And another small key for Turtle Rock.
which is great, but we still don't have that darn ether medallion.
I mean, Cold Stare could always drop it.
It's true.
Let's see.
This Cold Stare does go down. Drops
Just
a small key to Meyer. Walther does not get the God Pixel running down the conveyor belts there.
So Space Cowboy is using the warp from Lake Hylia to go ahead and check Waterfall of Wishing and Zora.
Also some pretty good routing.
He'll be picking up his Turtle Rock combo.
All right, so let's see if Walther will pull off a hammer yump today. Looks like he's going. Nope, he is not even going to attempt it. Of course, he may be heading to the east side over here first.
Yeah, he'll probably want to clear this east side first so he can mirror out afterwards. A horde of rupees and a big heart container.
Okay, so the elusive ether medallion continues to elude us. Compass for Ice Palace. Nobody's really happy about that, as Space Cowboy tosses a bomb over at Zora, and Walther finds the powder.
Oh, and Walther is not performing the hammer jump, so he uses his last pod small key. And finds the tempered sword.
Well, can't argue with that. So this will be a, yeah. And the map for Pod. Okay.
To explain in chat one more time, I believe Ryu, you went over this earlier. If you don't pick up the Zora item, when you go down to the ledge item, the sprite will show the Zora item because it can't load both sprites in at the same time. But when you pick up the item, it will be the proper item.
So where does... Alright, yeah, Space Cowboy's heading back to Misery Mire. Walther getting the key on the library, and it is a Turtle Rock key.
Still really looking for that Ether medallion, though. But he can complete the dungeon as soon as he finds Ether.
Okay, now Space Cowboy has not gone into Mire yet, as you can see, but he has the Misery Mire big key plus 2 keys, so he will be able to do a full clear. Walther is going to have to double dip that dungeon because he's already been in, and he's also going to have to double dip Pod. This is an opportunity for Space Cowboy to make up some time.
Is Walther heading back to Bumper Cave right now, or is he going to check Boots locations? It looks like Walther will be checking what item is on this Bumper Cave, which small key that is. Unfortunately, Walther taking a fall there, falling off that 1 pixel walking across. And it is the Swamp Palace small key on the bumper ledge.
Ooh. Another very significant item. Now, however, what we don't know at this point, though, is Swamp Palace actually a crystal? And the item on Lumberjack is just a piece of fart.
So no aggro required today. Space is just going through and clearing Misery Mire. He should be finding his bow very shortly, and Walter's going to be heading to the Bonk Rocks and probably the King's Tomb afterwards. Just a little bit of love. He had no choice but to pick up that one. He couldn't run from it.
Walther now seems to have some sort of allergy to pieces of heart this game.
Just 20 bucks in the King's Tomb, and Space Cowboy now getting his bow. Probably very happy to see that before he was heading down to fight Vitreous.
Absolutely. Remember, he does have the big key, so...
Bow and silver arrows, Vitreous is a very easy fight.
Yes, yes indeed. Each little eyeball will die to 1 silver arrow, and then Vitreous itself will die to 2 silver arrows. I believe that makes him the only boss in the game other than Ganon that takes more than 1 silver arrow. Obviously, silver arrows don't hurt Mothula, so that doesn't count.
Now, does it appear that Desert Palace was a crystal in that map check?
I completely missed it. Well, at least you're honest about it, Baliami, that you missed it. Desert is crystal, says the chat.
We have Walter now going to make his Ice Palace play.
So it's one interesting thing right now is that Walther is going to have to double dip both Misery Mire and Pod, whilst Space Cowboy has the opportunity to only have to single dip those 2 dungeons. Obviously, he's only going to single dip Misery Mire here, so we'll see how that ends up affecting the rest of the game.
Could definitely have a noticeable impact in their times.
So Walther has the tempered sword because he ventured into Pod, but he did not have all 6 keys and did not hammer yump. So that is one thing we are looking for, that Walther now, an additional item that he will need is that 6th key to Pod. At least we assume. It's possible that Pod is a pendant dungeon and it will not be necessary for him to defeat Helmasaur King. Because as of right now, we do not know. We know neither Pod nor Swamp Palace's completion reward, I guess you would say it.
Unfortunately, Walter not quite getting the bombs on the Stalfos. Stalfuses?
There was a whole discussion in the chat in about 4 different languages about what the proper plural was. I don't think any consensus was actually reached.
And we're seeing the Vitreous fight on Space Cowboy's side and just mowing them down with silver arrows.
Still want to know who on the Zelda dev team has the eyeball fetish. And Vitreous is a small key, but only to Hyrule Castle.
And Walter getting his bomb jump on the second attempt.
Alright, so interestingly enough, though, Space Cowboy now has crystals 5 and 6. Let's see. Yep, it looks like he is absolutely headed to Thick Fairy. Where can that elusive ether medallion be?
Yeah, medallions are always a hard item to call or to think on where they could be, because they could literally be anywhere.
The only, they're kind of like the Ice Rod in that regard, except that the Ice Rod has a single boss that it can't be located on, and that is Trinex. Alright, so we are taking the big bomb. There we go.
So what do you think, Phantom Ryu? What items will our fairy friend have for us today?
I'd kind of like to see her have book, and then have ether, say, be on one of the tablets.
A vanilla ether tablet?
Yeah, that would be fun. Vanilla ether tablet. But also remember, we still lack the pod big key.
Burn the witch.
Oh yes, burn the witch. There we go. And question from chat, is Ped dead? Not necessarily. Ether could absolutely be on Ped.
So Space Cowboy now gonna do the same routing that Walter did earlier, route in the Aga Tower check, and Walter is progressing through Ice Palace. He's almost done.
Space Cowboy does have an advantage, though, that he has that bow and silver arrows that Walther did not have when he traversed Hyrule Tower.
And Walter getting his big key to Meyer from the Ice Tea Room.
And Space Cowboy noping on out of Aga Tower. I think at this point, he probably goes to Pod. We'll see if Space Cowboy can hammer Yump.
Well, since he has 5 keys, and he does have the bow, as long as he doesn't open the front locked door, he actually does not need to anymore.
Oh, you're right. Thanks for keeping me straight there, Liam.
It's hard to keep track of Keysanity.
Space Cowboy is going to Catfish? Interesting.
Now, since he used the Lake Hylia warp to get over to the Zora area, he didn't mirror from Catfish like Walther did.
Right. Question in the chat, pod clear is still not in logic, though. That is correct, because the logic will require you to find all 5 keys. Plus, remember that neither one of our runners has found the big key yet. So
yeah, 6 keys and the big key. We just make note that our skilled players can forego 2 keys if they know the right route.
And yes, it does look like Space Cowboy is headed straight up to Pod. As you mentioned, if he can full clear, why not?
Now, unfortunately, we've seen all the treasure chests in Pod, right? Or did Walter skip one?
I think he skipped the middle platform chest.
So, possibly a vanilla big key?
Okay, so Pod is a pendant.
And thank you again, Baliame, for correcting us. The vanilla big key chest was the boots.
Oh, okay. That is correct. Thank you. So, as we have noted, Ped is not dead, so I wonder if Space Cowboy will complete Eastern after this.
Now, since we did learn that Pod is a pendant with that last map check, we may never actually find that Pod big key.
That's true. It's possible. And with Swamp then being confirmed as a crystal, that means Space Cowboy still needs to go to Bumper Cave to get the small key.
And Space is working his way through Pod now, while Walter is completing his second trip into Misery Mire.
And as you mentioned, Space Cowboy did not unlock that first door. He's going around the bow-locked side, which will save him a key. So this is as we keep going here, this is seeming more and more like our runners are going to have to close to 100% this. Still need that ether medallion to get into Turtle Rock, and it is elusive.
It could very well be in Swamp.
Absolutely.
Actually, at this point, I would probably prefer it be in Swamp.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Swamp being a crystal dungeon, you know you're going to have to complete it anyway. Just hope it's on the way for you in Swamp Palace. The Space Cowboy not getting anywhere near the boots chest. Now, many runners will save that for last. Go ahead and defeat Helmasaur King and then walk right back in and get that chest. Space Cowboy not even attempting to hammer Yump. Of course, he doesn't even need to.
Well, here's the interesting thing. He saved one key by not going in the front. If he doesn't know yet whether it's... Well, sorry, I don't remember whether it was Space or Walter who had the knowledge. Our tracker is saying that Walter has complete knowledge. I was just going to say that he may be saving that key for Helmasaur if necessary.
I don't think he's going to need it because he had 5 keys before he went in.
There's 6. Oh, that's true. He has 5 out of 6.
Yep.
I'm sure he's very happy to see that tempered sword, though.
You're always happy to see the flaming Cheeto sword.
And Walter, having completed Ice Palace, is going to be heading into Swamp, it looks like.
Either that or checking Thick Fairy. See if he checks the fairy first. And he will. Well, Space Cowboy is still yet to go to the vanilla big key chest and pick up his boots.
And it
Looks
looks
like
like
he's
he's
going to
going.
wrap that in. Alright, now Cowboy will get his boots, but that Ether medallion. It would be interesting if Ether was on Helmus or King, but Pod Big Key is on Argus.
That's just being mean at this point, isn't it?
Hey, I mean that's what we want to do, right? It's always
That's true.
fun to speculate about the trolliest possible item combination. We know Ganon's tower probably isn't going to be a troll, or I don't think it can be at this point.
So Walter picks up his book. Do you think he routes in Bombo's check before he goes into Swamp Palace?
I don't see why not. Yeah, I think Ether is the only way for Ped to be required now is for Ether to be on it, or Desert Palace Big Key. Forgot about that.
Yeah, those are the only two items we're missing is the Desert Palace Big Key and Ether. Now, if it could be something on pedestal that leads to one of those two items.
Well, they've got all the fetch quest items at this point, so...
Yes, but logic technically requires you to have all 4 Turtle Rock small keys.
So...
I have seen times where that middle chest in Turtle Rock in the pipe room has a required item.
Oh, yeah. Alright, so Walther does not route in a Bombos check. He's just going to go straight into Swamp. Chat pointing out that it's still possible for something trolly to be on Green Pendant, too.
And there's the Ether medallion.
All right,
in Swamp Palace.
We are one Desert Palace Big Key away from Go Mode, then. At least from No Mode. I'm sorry. Because Walther only lacks the Desert Palace Big Key, but Space Cowboy lacks the Swamp Palace Small Key. So...
Space Cowboy right now doing his library key check, probably looking for that Swamp Palace Small Key.
No, he does have the cape, so
I think he's also going to check the magic bat here real quick.
he'll get his big 20 for his troubles. Alright, Walther not going to check left side.
He's going to see if he can save some time here, and if he gets that Desert Palace Big Key through this side.
Yep.
Now, something that could happen, that Swamp Palace Big Key, we don't have it yet, and that big chest could have that Desert Palace Big Key.
That's entirely possible. It's a fantastic point. That could be on pedestal.
And there we have another fetch quest item, essentially, in that Thieves Town Small Key.
Yep. Oh, that would be interesting as well.
And just a big 20 in the waterfall room.
That was interesting. Space Cowboy is heading back to Skull Woods. He has the big key.
This could be a
I
big play. Let's see.
do remember we have a significant number of chests in Turtle Rock as well, as Baliami, our tracker, has pointed out.
And just a big 20.
Argus trolling a little bit there. Darn puffballs. Oh, wow.
Argus really not wanting to die today. I can't blame him.
Alright, so Space Cowboy's going to get his Swamp Palace small key here.
And a half magic drop from Argus, as well as another crystal.
Who doesn't like the half magic? I mean, come on. Alright, so this will put Walther a complete dungeon ahead of Space Cowboy at this point. Alright, so here comes the Bombos tablet check. Will this be the... If this is the Desert Palace big key, there's hardly a better place for it to be.
That'd be extremely convenient. And it's a big key to Desert Palace.
I mean, what can I say?
Interesting that he fluted there. He may have just... Oh, he's going to go in the back way. That's right.
All right, that is... So now, ladies and gentlemen... Wait a minute, no. Wait, 3 Turtle Rock keys is the minimum?
That is correct. He can kill
Right.
Trinex.
All right, then, ladies and gentlemen, Walther the Fourth, or Walter 4, or WaltherIV, however you pronounce his name, has activated Go Mode. And Space Cowboy also finding his big key. However, Space Cowboy still has to clear Swamp now.
He's choosing to clear desert first, but yeah, he is still a full Swamp Palace clear. Now he's probably not going to check anything in Swamp as he runs through.
Well, he still has to find his Ether Medallion in Swamp, so...
It was in the first chest though, so he'll be good after that.
Very true. Space Cowboy is not going to be heading straight for Landmala's here like Walther is, and with the Fire Rod and half magic, Landmala's should be no trouble for Walther. There we go. Although the silvers can take out Landmala's in one hit, it's often much, much easier to just use the Fire Rod.
Yeah, the Fire Rod gives you that nice ability to just spam shots out there, while the silvers, there can only be one on screen at a time, so it has to hit the wall before you can fire again if you miss.
Alright, so it's just up to Turtle Rock and Ganon's Tower now for Walther the Fourth. That's enough on the flute, Walther. It's okay, man.
Now, I know racers will almost always feel like they're a little behind, but at 1 hour and 45 minutes, it's not a terrible time for a Keysanity seed to be heading into your last crystal dungeon.
No, not at all. But if you don't play like you have to come from behind, then you could be getting complacent and actually lose.
Space Cowboy opting to use the silvers and getting his crystal from Desert Palace.
Does so extraordinarily well. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me go ahead and remind you that today we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. We have 21 more races in the Link to the Past Keysanity tournament left today. Just today in that tournament. They are going to be all over Speed Gaming 1, 2, 3, 4, and the Link to the Past Randomizer channels 1, 2, 3, and 4 here on Twitch. So if you like you some Keysanity, today is the day for you. As I am question from the chat, how many of those are on air? I am tracking pretty much all of them are on air. As my commentary partner just brought up the command in the chat, you can check the schedule yourself and see what races you are most interested in. But yes, 21 more races today. Some of them will be run concurrently, but yes, Keysanity all day long.
And as we see on Walter's screen, he's in go mode. He is ignoring everything in Turtle Rock. He's going straight to Trinex.
And, I mean, really, he's got Riot Shield, which isn't really even necessary. He's got Bacon Sword. He's got, Silver Arrows. Not really much more he could really want.
Oh no, he's just going straight to get his last crystal. He has everything he needs.
Space Cowboy here is about to enter go mode himself. There it is. There's the Ether Medallion. He's in go mode, but he is a good half dungeon behind Walther at this point.
If Walter had elected to go left side, he could have bought space a little bit more time, but he did not. At least I don't remember him going left.
Oh, I just learned something, and that is that Fire Rod goes over crystal pegs. I did not know that.
It's not very often you see that in that room, but yes, it's an interesting way to do it. I've used it before for the basement of Hera to get the break room. Or to get to the basements, sorry.
Walther with some interesting routing here in the Dark Room in Turtle Rock, but
it's always satisfying to see a go mode, true go mode Turtle Rock, where you can just ignore everything else in this dungeon. You don't have to go to Laser Bridge. We found an early Riot Shield. We found keys early. We'd been talking from Turtle Rock since the very beginning of the seed, and go mode.
Yeah, we had early Kane, early Rod, but that pesky Ether Medallion trolled us for a very long time. So we were left with all the tools, but not the right medallion.
Seeing a nice Trinex fight here from Walter. And Argus goes down on Space Cowboy's side.
You saw that early switch from ice to fire rod by Walther, and that's because while one of the heads is exploding, you are not able to access your menu. But if you switch early, you can continue to fight Trinex and go ahead and destroy the other head without having to wait, which is key because if the blue head is able to drop some ice on the ground, it really complicates the Trinex fight. And hey, red mail.
So normally, Phantom Ryu, as you know, normally we'd play a game, but unfortunately in Keysanity, we have the Ganon's Tower big key already. Walter will be able to head straight up into the Gauntlet.
Indeed, we already have everything we need to head up Ganon's Tower. This is going to be straight execution from here on out. Well, Space Cowboy is just now heading up to Turtle Rock. I mean, I like to call a race before it's over, but it's going to take some significant failures by Walther for Space Cowboy to have a chance of winning this one.
Yes, as you mentioned earlier, he has all the tools for an easy Ganon fight, but Ganon could always knock you off a couple times.
That is very true, because remember, Ganon hugs are the best hugs. But now that they found red mail, as Balayami, our tracker, points out there, mail upgrade and half magic on required bosses.
That was definitely generous with the seed for that. And because of that reason, you're not likely to see anybody have to double back for any potions or anything of the sort.
No, almost assuredly not, especially considering that they have found powder, and there are ample opportunities here in Ganon's Tower to turn anti-fairies into fairies. Including the two fairies that are across the way there in that room that Walther just left, but obviously he does not pick them up. This is always the worst room, or always was the worst room in Gauntlet for me, because those skeletons are so unpredictable sometimes.
I am a fan myself of fire rod strats in the Gauntlet, because you just point it in their general direction and the hitbox usually works for you.
Interesting, yeah, that Walther is not using that tactic, considering he has half magic, as well as silver arrow, so he doesn't need to be terribly concerned about his magic going into Ganon.
Now, Walter is choosing to powder this fairy. This is something I did not know you could do until Randomizer taught me you could, but it is a great safety item to always have that powder.
Yeah, I always knew you could powder the anti-fairies. I did not know you could powder the bunny beams until Randomizer. And Walther making short work of Landmalus too. Meanwhile, Space Cowboy is venturing on through Turtle Rock in go mode.
Yes, he's going to steal this key from the Pokey, and up he goes. Canis Amaria showing once again why it's the best item in the game.
Indeed. Let's see if Walther gets the... No, he does not.
Redemption on the second shot.
Absolutely. Yeah, chat pointing out the cowboy did just pick up a key he does not need, and rightfully also pointing out that is muscle memory. Particularly if you play standard or open, you pretty much have to go that way every single time. and it is very difficult to untrain that for different modes. And Walther just noping past everything here. The mini helmisters, the other two chests. I mean, but at this point, the only thing he could find that would be remotely useful would be the butter sword. And quite frankly, as we mentioned before, he's probably thinking he's behind right now, and just glancing over every couple seconds at his SRL chat to see if his opponent is not done yet. He's probably not even going to open the validation chest.
Now, it's interesting to note, too, that even if he finds the butter sword, the actual time difference, if you land all your hits, there is no time difference between tempered and buttered. But that's if you're very precise with your tempered sword.
Right. And I believe you also have to get Ganon into position where you can do multiple spins, unless I'm incorrect. It's late for me, so forgive me if I'm not thinking 100% correct here. Space Cowboy, final stage of Trinex, while Walther heads to Aghanim 2.
And a double to start off.
Always good.
Oh, unfortunately missed that double. Meanwhile, Space Cowboy completes Turtle Rock, and he will be headed over to Ganon's tower. Did the wall just eat that shot?
I am not certain. But that is it for Aga 2 for Walther. Time for the big pig. Time for some pork barbecue. While Space Cowboy enters Ganon's tower. I could never feel bad about losing when I ran this game, as long as I was in Ganon's tower when my opponent dot dunned. I could feel like I didn't have my butt completely kicked.
Yeah, that's very true. You know you've at least figured the seed out. Unfortunately, Walter taking a couple of Ganon hugs there.
Yeah, not good, but I believe Walther still has a blue goo, so... And that's the way you do it with cape and half magic. I used the blue goo he bought in Ice Palace. Oh, okay. Thank you, Balayame. That is Balayame here, tracker extraordinaire.
Playing it a little dangerous now, half a heart.
Ooh my. I had two fire bats going at the same time there. That was not cool. Alright, it looks like Walther does not have any safeties here. This could be a little tense. He's past the hardest parts of the Ganon fight, but we know that we have seen the bats in Stage 3 take people out before. Alright, he does get the torch glitch.
Oh, and there's a fire bat.
Oh, man.
Oh, he still had his fairy from early in the game.
But he is thanking his lucky stars right now.
If I'm not mistaken, he picked that up all the way back in Paradox Cave.
I believe you're correct. I still don't want to understand how the fairy that you have trapped in a bottle will magically escape said bottle when you die.
And Walter finishes his Ganon fight, and as soon as he crosses the bridge, Walter 4 has finished in first place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 46 seconds. GG, sir.
Absolutely. GG's sub 2 in Keysanity is an outstanding time. Very nicely done. Meanwhile, Space Cowboy has completed the gauntlet. He cannot feel too bad about that time. A very close race. You know, quite honestly, looking at it, the pièce de la résistance likely was the 4 falls that Space Cowboy took to Trolldorm.
You know, that did eat up quite a bit of time, and they're not too far off from each other.
No. Imagine how close it would have been had he not fallen. It would have been, wow, this would have been one of the closest races we've seen in this Keysanity tournament.
All right, and let's see if we can get Walter in here for an interview real quick.
All right. Walther, welcome to the commentary room. GG's, congratulations on your victory here. Sub 2 in a Keysanity seed in a tournament. Very nicely done.
Yeah, thank you. I think you could tell at the end that I was kind of nervous. I was making a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, and as we were saying in the commentary, it's like at this point you're always wondering, oh my God, is my opponent about to done? Right?
Yeah, because I kind of did all the overworld right away because I had a mirror, and the only good thing I found in that overworld trip was like the ice rod, so I felt kind of behind from that point.
Yeah. I will say, all right, right now, Space Cowboy is in the room with all the mini Helmosaurs right before. Okay, now he's headed right to Aghanim 2 right now. One key thing that I was just saying to Liam was that Space Cowboy had an awful time with Moldorm 1 actually falling about 4 times, and that could have been the real difference in this race.
Oh yeah, that fight is never it's unpredictable.
Absolutely.
Another thing that may have saved him some time, Walter, you went directly to Eastside Death Mountain, while Space Cowboy went to Hera first, so he had to double dip because you found the sword on Eastside.
Oh yeah, also find a hammer on the east side, because I knew I could go all the way up to Moldorm, but I felt like going to the east side first was my best chance of finding a weapon.
Well, it certainly paid off for you.
Absolutely. That ether medallion, though, huh?
Yeah, I wanted to go into Turtle Rock as soon as possible, and it was kind of a good thing I found the ether medallion so late, because apparently there was nothing of value in Turtle Rock.
No, but yeah, by the time both of you got to Turtle Rock, which obviously was towards the end for both of you, you'd found everything good. I mean, you found half magic, red mail you found in Turtle Rock, but Bacon Sword, silvers, everything good was pre-Troc.
Yeah, I was super close to going up to Turtle Rock before checking that Bombos tablet, because I felt that something had to be in Turtle Rock, but I'm glad that I didn't do that.
Yeah.
That was actually going to be my next question for you, was that Bombos tablet, but that paid off big time.
Yeah, for sure. It was kind of surprising, actually. I didn't expect to find anything there.
And Space Cowboy has just completed his Ganon fight, and as soon as he crosses the bridge, we will have his official time. And Space Cowboy has finished in second place with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 4 minutes, and 45 seconds. GG, Space Cowboy.
So the Space Cowboy's comment in the chat, though, I give up on Keysanity, man. I have been there so many times, and I do understand. But fantastic performance by both of you guys. Really, really great job. Just not a terribly trolly seed, but one that just required you to go from point A to point B and just kind of was dragged out.
Yeah, I guess this was kind of a nice seed for being Keysanity. I just wish I went to pod before doing all the overworld stuff, so I could have the boots. That would make the overworld trip a lot faster.
Neither one of you picked up the boots until very late in the seed, which was interesting.
Yes, the first pod dive was actually yours, and that was at 1 hour and 15 into this race.
It looks like we will be joined here shortly by Space Cowboy. But again, congratulations to you, Walther. You advanced to 1 and 2 in the tournament. Swiss stage, lots of killers in this tournament at this point. So it's just amazing to be here.
Yeah, my ambition going into this tournament was going to 1 or maybe 2 wins, so halfway there.
So, Space Cowboy, welcome. GG's to you. As we just mentioned to Walther, not a terribly trolly seed, but one that was just very long and dragged out.
And it punished you for going out of your way to make sure you didn't miss anything, too.
Yes, we saw both you and Walter checking a lot of overworld and not really paying out on quite a few locations. But in the end, you guys finished within 5 minutes of each other. One question I did have for you, Space Cowboy.
Yeah.
What about that swamp key on Bumper? I know you were probably frustrated finding that.
I remember that there was a key and there wasn't really any good time to be in the area until I went back for the Skullwoods big chest. Again, you can't really leave anything unchecked. And once I found that, I'm like, okay, cool, but also picked the book up from the Fat Fairy, which led to the Desert Big Key. So...
Yes, that was both a clutch play from both of you guys checking that Bombos tablet. Walter had mentioned he had almost gone up to Turtle Rock without doing so, but both of you guys did do the check.
Yeah, I was trying to put off Turtle Rock. I found the 4 keys, I found the big key, but there was no point going up because you can't get in without ether, and you didn't get ether until you were into swamp. So the only thing out there really was the ether medallion, and it's not worth the time to gamble on that when there's still so much craft to look at.
Well, gentlemen, it is extremely late for me here, so I am going to have to go ahead and sign off. But before I do, I wanted to say GG's to both of you. Great play. Good job. And that's that seed, which, like I said, was just so long and drug out. And before I sign off, let me go ahead and remind the chat that there are 21 other races going on today. And one going on right now on Speed Gaming 2. So as soon as we're done here, hop on over to Speed Gaming 2, catch the rest of that race. That's Dragon Strike 1988 versus Azapone. Caladrius and Billy J. Brads are on commentary for that race, and Dude is the tracker. And speaking of trackers, Baliame, outstanding job tracking for this race. Much appreciated, keeping us honest and keeping the viewers informed. So thank you very much. Again, Walther, congratulations on your victory. Space Cowboy, congratulations on your performance. Very well played on that seed. I am Phantom Ryu, signing off for the night. Liam, I will let you take it from here.
Ryu, real quick.
Yes.
You got a good laugh out of us finding the cane 2.5 minutes into the seed?
Absolutely. It was awesome.
That's all I had for you, man.
Yeah, y'all called that in the SRL chat.
We're like, hey, we got Phantom here. We're going to get the cane. It wasn't quite Link's house, but I mean, 2.5 minutes in, hey, why not?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks again, guys. Great job. Chat, give these guys a follow here on Twitch, putting in the hard work for your entertainment. I'm Phantom Ryu, signing off. Good night, everybody.
Adios, Ryu.
So I guess any thoughts on the seed other than what we've discussed already, guys?
Yeah, it was just long and kind of a slog, but I think the item count was relatively low because we got to skip pretty much all of Swamp, all of TR, all of GT. So that was at least nice.
Yeah, on Walter's side of the screen right now, he finished with 146 out of 216.
Let's see, let's apply a little bit of fast forward magic here. 152 at 216. So checked a few more spots.
Walter, any last thoughts from you on the seed?
Not really, except for giving a big thanks to everyone making this tournament possible, from all the admins to restreamers and commentators and the trackers. And GG, Space Cowboy.
Yeah, congrats to you. I closed the SRC, or minimized it, the SRL chat, like 15 minutes away from the end of the seed, hoping just maybe I'd sneak away, even though I knew I'd checked a few spots that came up empty. But you got me. Congrats.
Yes, GG to both of you guys. It was an excellent race, a close race. And once again, thank you very much to the runners. Please follow the runners, Space Cowboy and Walter. And please follow my co-commentator as well, Phantom Ryu, and our awesome tracker, Baliame. We have plenty of other speed gaming, plenty of other races on speed gaming coming up. As Phantom Ryu said, 20 more races today. So please, check them out. And with that, I do not have anything more, sirs, unless you have something else. I guess not. So it'll be me, Liam Atlas, signing them off. And thank you again, everybody. See you in the next race.